Hey, welcome back to Spread Your Homestead. I'm Kanan.
I'm Nikki.
And this week's Would You Rather topic is...
Would you rather have a livable home with a mortgage on property or a paid-off property and live in a camper?
Ooh, great subject. And we each get 5 minutes to come up with our answer. We'll be right back to decide, would you rather do this or that? All right, it's been 5 minutes, and we each have our answer to the question of, would you rather live in a home on property with a mortgage or paid off land and live in a camper? What do you say? What would you rather have or do?
So I have two answers to this. If it was just us, I would do the camper on bare land because at least you can get a camper big enough for two people to be comfortable. If I had an entire family, I would take the livable property, even though it meant a mortgage, because living in a little tiny camper with two people sucks. It just, or more than two people, this sucks.
I am going to go the opposite direction. I'm going to say I'm going to live in a property on land with a house and a mortgage. The difference there is I know that I can work from home and I can work from anywhere and do something to pay for a mortgage. The question is, how hard do I have to work to pay for that mortgage? That's the question, because we're not talking money here, right? It's not, $500 a month, $1,000 a month. I'm not sure, but
that's true.
I know who I am. I live here. I live in this, and I know I could do that. I could work myself probably to death to pay for a mortgage to live in a house, but I would rather live in a house knowing I have to pay for it than live in a camper, even if it was just two people.
Well, I tend to think of this, like I said, I would do the whole camper thing because I'm assuming, right, you're living in a camper that typically means that you're planning to build at some point. So in this bubble of reality, what's going on in the world, there is something to be said for living on property that you own outright. So there is something, because they're talking layoffs and things again,
right,
in a lot of the bigger companies. So having the security of knowing that I own the property, even if I have to figure out how I'm going to pay property taxes, I really like that idea. But we have talked before on videos about infrastructure, and how when you're trying to build and do all this kind of stuff, it is so nice to be able to go into a finished house, especially wintering in a camper. Here in this environment is really, really tough.
Yeah, we've done videos on why you should not, or what things to look at for bare land or developed property, and why you should not buy bare land because of infrastructure. It's nice to have a home with walls or insulated walls. And, we've had neighbors that have tried to live here next to us in a camper that lost all their water lines in the winter. They had to haul water because their well basically froze because it wasn't prepped for,
not to mention the septic system on their camper. And, but they also didn't prep it right. It can be done. That's probably where I'm coming from at this point is, man, the world is a crazy place.
Agreed.
And in a camper I own, on property I own, gives me that little bit of security. But yeah, if I had kids and a family, I don't think I could do it.
Agreed.
2 of us and 3 dogs in a camper would probably be horrible.
Yeah, because I know the dogs get stir crazy now in a house.
Yeah, in a 1,200 square foot house.
Yeah, I can only imagine in like 500 square feet that they can get to, maybe at that. They'd be crazy. 2 dogs, 3 dogs would be crazy.
Yeah, for sure. I also like the storage idea behind a house. Because when you're homesteading, there's always stuff. I mean, like, I've seen people try and do, like, independent little sheds insulated to be their pantry room, to hold their canned goods and their food and all that. Because that's another big thing you see a lot of people in campers struggle with is storage, especially food storage in the winter.
All right, so with that, we are in separate ways, right? Last time we did the rabbits and chickens, we both chose rabbits for the reasons. On this one, I'm going to choose the mortgage and the livable house. She's going to choose the camper with some kind of asterisk beside it. If it's just a couple people and maybe a dog or two or something else. But anything beyond that, I think she's going to start leaning back my way.
I can't even answer a question without a, well.
I know, but that's what life is. It's never black and white. It's always versions of gray. So what do you guys think? Would you rather have a livable house on land that you have to pay a mortgage on? Now, we're not going to talk about how much you can afford, et cetera, et cetera. Or would you rather be comfortable in a camper living on some property, and even if it's for a year or two prior to you're going to build a house, right?
And keep in mind, nobody ever does when they say, oh, it's just going to be for a year. It never is. It never is.
Yeah, there's always something.
It's almost never. Every now and then you hear that one magical person that really did get it done.
Right.
But almost everybody ends up longer in that camper than they anticipate.
Right. So what would you choose? Let us know down in the comments below which one you want, the house with the mortgage or the paid off land in the camper. And if there's caveats to it, you would do one or the other because of this, or it has to have these asterisks with this. Let us know. That's what we want to know.
And what is your reasoning? We got some really interesting ones on the last one, on the chickens versus rabbits.
Exactly. And if you have other ideas for Would You Rather, drop them down in the comments below. We are adding them to our little hat here, and we will add them to our list going forward. So that's it for this time on Sprague Homestead. Be sure to like, subscribe, and tell your friends to come over and debate with you on what they would do. That's it for this time.
And if you don't have a copy of my Raising Rabbits cookbook, Kanan will drop a link. Go on Amazon and pick that thing up. Guys, right now it's more important than ever to be cooking from home. And yes, it's a rabbit raising cookbook, but I talk about it over and over again. Any of those recipes can be used for chicken or you could probably
protein. Let's call it protein.
Protein, yeah.
Anything.
You can adapt anything in there. It's all basic stuff. It's not, we're not using a lot of red wine and a lot of real fancy stuff. It's just quick, easy, homestead cooking. But right now, it's a good thing to have in your arsenal. on your bookshelf.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's it for us from Stricker Homestead. Happy homesteading.